Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and I can finally say something, at least about the WizBangs Workshop meta that we have not been able to say basically the entire time. Where this launched what, mid-April? No, it was mid-March. My goodness, time flies. But since the most recent balance patch, I think it's safe to say that Hearthstone has more than one deck that does really well, and the meta has developed to a point where you can play a lot of different stuff. We're gonna go over exactly what I mean by the meta being dominated so much by one specific deck for like months on end, and why I'm kind of a little bit bummed that it took this freaking long to happen, and why that might change in the not so somewhat near future. Actually, it'll be a little bit. Anyways, if you enjoy the content on the channel, feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like, as it helps us out a lot as we're on the road to, I almost said 63,000. I didn't lose 20K. I don't think so. 83,000 subscribers. So if you look at the front page of HS Replay, always like the worst metric ever. And it's like one of the only free things you can look at. But even there, you see you got 4 classes above 50, but a lot more below. But where you gotta look at, and I believe this is paid, but you guys get to see it through me, is the meta breakdown. HS Replay since the latest patch, so 29.4.2. If we look at Legend, where it's pretty cutthroat there, top 1000 Legend, the sample sizes are never good enough. I never can rely on that. I think according to that, it's like, it always looks weird. I rely on Legend numbers, they're pretty good. I have never seen, or at least not in a very, very long time, have we seen this many tier 1 and tier 2 decks. So according to HS Replay, the best deck so far, but you can see they're not very far ahead. Handbuff Paladin seems to be, if you want to call it an outlier, but I wouldn't. Highlander Hunter up there. I know Cantaloupe tweeted he had a bunch of success with it lately. We highlighted it before in the video before all these nerfs happened. It was pretty good, so not a big surprise to see it move up. But let's just dive through and see all the different decks, because this goes on for a while. We have Zarimi Priest, which just got nerfed, kind of. Can you call it that? I don't know. It's something, right? It's something. It dialed back a bit. Secret Hunter, Insanity Warlock, which we highlighted in a video yesterday. Shopper Demon Hunter, back up to the point of being competitive. It's been for a little bit, but it's up there. Spell Token Hunter. You'll note a lot of these decks have been nerfed, and this goes into countering to what a lot of naysayers like to say about balance patches that just always drives me crazy. Highlander Druid, Pain Warlock, which has been nerfed. Highlander Warrior, which has been nerfed. Highlander Paladin, which has been indirectly nerfed because aggro always gets the good cards nerfed. Control Warrior, which I believe is Odin Warrior. Miracle Rogue, which is like that scam giant rogue deck. Dragon Druid, Flood Paladin, just got nerfed. Aggro Demon Hunter, Reno Priest, which I will be making a video on, probably coming out later today because you guys demanded it. We'll have fun with it anyways. Highlander Shaman, Hybrid Druid, Rainbow Mage, and then like just below, we still have a number of decks. Like Mining Rogue I face all the time at higher legend. It drives me crazy. If you watched our Insanity Warlock video, it drove me insane. Rainbow DK, like Handbuff DK, Mining Warlock. You see that there are so many decks right now that are competitive through legend. And you go through Diamond through legend, it's even larger, right? Like it's a pretty large subset of decks. This goes against the nature of some people like, well, they're just nerfing everything. They're making everything unplayable. No, nerfs bring back outliers so that the rest of the field can catch up. And we are seeing that very clearly. A ton of new decks that couldn't compete, or at least they're not really new, but decks that were suppressed are able to compete, and you can play control strategies, you can play combo strategies, you can play aggro, mid-range. There's like literally everything here. I actually don't love this meta a ton. A ton of these decks I don't love facing, but you cannot argue the fact that it is way more diverse than we have seen in a long time. And we'll just go through a recent history lesson from WizBangs Workshop as to why nerfing outliers is such a big deal. You'd wish they catch them ahead of time, but that never seems to be the case anymore. But when we started, it was just all Paladin, right? Handbuff Paladin was absolutely insane. All the Paladin archetypes. We saw Tiger's plushie get nerfed. I believe Deputization Aura was a big part of that, which is no longer even run. And then Shroomskavate, right? That gave Wind Fury. That dominated the meta. It absolutely dominated the game. and it got heavily nerfed. Like 3 Paladin style cards, I believe, got nerfed. It was pretty significant, and it dialed it back. Unfortunately, the second meta, where they hit like almost everything, I think like Sludge Warlock, or I don't remember what else was hit that patch, but it was really dominated by Paladin. Everyone's like, what's gonna beat Shopper Demon Hunter? Because it was the other best deck. Nothing did. And then all of a sudden it was all about Shopper Demon Hunter, and it was another 1 deck meta, which was Umpire's Grasp, just 1 card get nerfed, and it dialed it all the way back to where it let other decks catch up. Unfortunately, when Shopper Demon Hunter got nerfed, we're all like, well, what's gonna be Arena Warrior? That seems pretty crazy. And well, nothing did. And then Arena Warrior was like the best deck, and it was really scary. And they had to nerf Bran, and they nerfed Sanitize, Trial by Fire, which isn't even run in this list that I have here. And again, it was like, okay, but what's gonna beat all the Flood decks, which was like Flood Paladin and Pain Warlock? Nothing did. We were in the same spot. And well, they nerfed these decks with Showdown going to 3 and Molten Giant going to 22. And we were kind of worried, like, what if they don't hit Serene Priest? They did hit that as well. And there wasn't like one clear deck after, like, well, what's going to beat that? And now we're in a meta of like, yeah, if you want to play some Hearthstone, you want to play your favorite class, pretty much everything is available. I think every class other than Death Knight, which also was one of those classes that got dialed back at one point, are really good. But Rainbow DK and Hand Buff DK, not far off. Maybe the next expansion gives them a good card or whatever, but that's what I'm worried about, right? It took us over like what, 2 months, a mini set, just to get to the point in Whizbang's workshop where the meta kind of feels remotely balanced. And that's not really a good thing. Like, I'm very happy now that there's a lot of stuff to play, even if I don't love the stuff to play. It's kind of irrelevant to me because these are the decks that are going to be there. That's the design of the cards. There's nothing you can really change about that other than rewriting the word on a lot of cards, which honestly, I wouldn't mind doing to some of the stuff. Regardless, it took 2.5 months to get to this point. And what I want to mention, a good sign of when the next expansion is coming out is usually when the Tavern Pass in the shop is expiring. And just this week, they updated the date, which makes me think the next expansion date likely finalized. I believe last week this was going to expire on July 17th, or yeah, July 17th or July 16th. I tweeted it out like a week ago. It got updated to July 23rd, and the next patch we're going to get in the game, there's likely one bigger balance patch coming, but before that, it's 0.6, which is the Battleground shakeup and the next expansion announcement. And that will likely, you know, shake things up. We'll get an early free legendary to play as always. And then we're right back to where like we finally got this balanced-ish meta, and then the new expansion is going to come in and destroy everything. But to be fair, they usually don't get the meta to be diverse like this until like the balance patch after the pre-order goes live. So maybe we're ahead of schedule. I don't know, but it is refreshing to see the meta actually diverse. I want to hear your guys' comments on, are you enjoying yourself? Are you happier about this? Is this an acceptable time frame to balance the game? Like, I don't expect at launch for everything to be perfectly balanced. That's impossible. Even if they have like a crazy in-depth balance team, that's not going to happen. But the fact that, you know, every patch they seem to miss one key outlier, and then it carried forward to the next one, it was just that whack-a-mole effect, was really frustrating. And now we're at a point where I feel like there's not a clear, you know, outlier to complain about. There's plenty of stuff to complain about. I'm the master of that. But we're at a point where at least I could switch around, try different stuff, and not feel like I get dunked on by just 1 or 2 decks. And even if you look at the cards index, the only one that's a standout is Ziliax, which ticket module's pretty silly, but it's like a billion cards in one. It's not really the same. And at the same time, Reno Lone Ranger, which a lot of people were worried, you know, they changed the rules. It was based on starting deck. Ever since then, its play rate's gone down. It was at like 35% at the height of like the cycle Reno decks. That change really helped out. It's eliminated those cheese decks. It made it so you could play Reno decks without being countered. And by making it 9 mana, slowed it down considerably. So yeah, 31% of decks run Reno, which is a lot, but not nearly as much as I think people thought it would get to. And I think is a probably pretty reasonable spot, although it gets much higher, then you might need to take a look at it. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below how you feeling about the meta. I don't know. How am I going to do a nerf rant video after I make a video like this? Don't worry. I'll find a way, and probably soon enough. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.